Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new chapter, chapter number 2, which is Basic Concepts of Economics. In it, we are going to understand the meaning of the certain terms, as these terms are frequently used in the economics. And you have also studied these terms in your previous classes in 9th and 10th. Basically, the starting first to third chapter is such which you have already studied in your previous classes. Okay. So you can easily understand these terms in today's class also. So now today we are going to understand the human wants, classification of human wants, what's the difference between a want and the desire, as well as we will cover the consumption, utility, total utility, marginal utility, and productions and factors of productions, as all these things we have done in our earlier class. So now let us start our lecture. Now let us understand the term human wants. In ordinary language, the word want and desire are used in the synonymous sense, or we can say that both are used in a same sense. But in economics, these terms have a different meaning. The term desire is a wish to have something. Suppose if I wish to have a iPhone X, then this is only my wish. Okay, it will not convert into the want until and unless I will make an efforts to acquire the iPhone X. So we can say that desire is a wish to have something, but want is an effective desire for a particular thing which can be satisfied by making an efforts to acquire it. Now the term efforts here means related to the earning of income. I will not able to buy anything in a market without an income. Okay, so when I put in efforts or when I earn an income to purchase that thing, then that efforts will convert my desire into my want. Now, for the sake of better understanding, let us take another example. If I may desire to have a Honda City car, but it would become my want only if I am ready to make an efforts like earning income to acquire this car. Now, further, the human wants are classified into two broad categories, primary wants and secondary wants. As you are very well known, the primary wants are related to the commodities of necessities, whereas the secondary wants are related to the commodities of comforts and the luxuries. Every man first satisfy his primary wants and he will move towards a secondary want only when his primary wants are fully satisfied. Now, the term primary wants refers to the want for those goods which are necessary for very existence of human life and for the maintenance of the normal efficiency. Examples of primary wants are food, clothing, and shelter, as these are the things of essential and these goods are necessary to maintain the normal efficiency of the individual. Now, the secondary wants are those wants which arise only after the primary wants are satisfied. And the secondary want is further divided into two categories, want for comforts and want for luxuries. Now, these are comfort goods are those goods which are the source of comfort and the happiness of the people. For example, sofa set, music system, refrigerator, cooler, all these are the examples of the comfort goods. Whereas the luxury goods are those goods which are very expensive and which are meant to show the wealth and the power of the person. Here you have to note one point, that whenever primary wants are fully satisfied, then whatever little amount of money is left, with this little amount of money the people are only able to fulfill their comfort needs, or they are able to purchase the goods of comfort. But when the want for these comfort goods are satisfied, then only the people will move toward the want for the luxury goods. Now, what do you mean by the want for the luxury goods? As I have already told you, luxury goods refers to those goods which are very expensive and which are meant to show the wealth and the power of the person. As these goods are very high price, but the benefit derived from these goods are not very high when we are comparing it with the price, but the people will buy these high priced goods so to add the prestige, or or to make a status symbol in a society. Now example of these type of goods are costly houses, expensive jewelries, expensive cars, air conditions are the examples of the luxury goods. Now let us understand the certain features of the human want. The first feature is wants are unlimited. As we have also understood this feature in the last class when we have done the definition of economics, as we are very well known that the human wants are unlimited and endless. At some time it has been said that these wants remain with the man till he goes to the graveyard. So whenever our one want is satisfied, another want will crop up. So we used to say that wants are unlimited because the people have multiple wants and many wants are cumulative, and at the same time people acquire the new wants. Second feature is want are complementary. Now before understanding this feature we must know about the complementary goods. Now complementary goods are those goods which can be used together, like car and petrol, which can be used together. Suppose if I demand a car in a market, then I also need a petrol. So whenever I demand a car, I also demand a petrol in a market. So the complementary wants means two or more goods are wanted together. The want for these goods is said to be the complementary. The want for a car creates the want for the petrol. Okay, now the third want is a substitution of want. Now the substitute goods are those goods which can be used in place of one another. So here if we demand one commodity, then we will not demand its substitute, then we will not demand the substitute goods. Okay, so we can say that when a particular want can be satisfied by a one good or by the other. For example, if I am thirsty, so my thirst can be satisfied either by a cold drink or by a glass of juice. So here I will not consume both cold drink or juice. I will take one option. Either I will go for a cold drink or I will go for a juice. So the substitution wants are those wants, or substitution goods are those goods which can be used in the place of one another. Another feature is the want are competitive. So man has a limited income, and with this he can purchase either a one commodity or other. Therefore these commodity will compete with each other. As we have already studied in the last class, then we are having a limited and the scarce resources, and with this these scarce resources are having an alternative uses. So we have to choose we have to make a choice between the more important needs and the less important needs. So more important needs and non postponement of the needs can be satisfied first, and the needs which we can postpone can be satisfied later on. So fifth feature is wants multiply. So it is a very important feature of human want that it's tend to multiply over a time. With the growth of human knowledge and science and technology, new goods have been produced. So this led to the creation of new wants. For example, the want for a microwave oven has been created after the discovery of such an oven some time back. Another feature is want recur. It means want are recurring in nature. When we satisfy the want once, then it is not possible for the when we satisfied our want once, then this satisfied want will be only temporary in nature in the case of necessity commodities. Okay, so they are only temporary in nature, therefore they appear again and again. For example, we can take the example of food in this case. If I have a meal in the morning, it does not mean that I'll not feel hungry in the evening. So this is such want which will appear again and again, and once it is satisfied, then it is temporary in nature. But in the case of endurable goods, these wants are permanent for some time. Another feature is a single want can be satisfied. Although all the wants taken together cannot be satisfied, yet it may be possible to satisfy a single want or a few wants. Why this is so? Because the resources to satisfy these wants are insufficient or are very limited. So some wants can be postponed. So I have already told you that the want which are not very important, those wants can be postponed while the other cannot be. For example, the want for a TV or a car can be postponed in the case if we don't have enough money to purchase these goods. Another feature is want differ in their urgency. Another important feature of human want is that they differ in their urgency or intensity. Some wants are more urgent while others are less. If you can merge 8 and 9 point, you can do it. So because these points are similar to each other. And the last feature is wants remain ahead of the availability of goods and services. Now, the second important term is a consumption. So, it is an act of using goods and services to satisfy human wants. Okay, so consumption is a direct use of goods and services to satisfy the human wants. Now, whenever any person consume goods and services to satisfy his or her want, then that person is called the consumer. Now here we have to understand the difference between the customer and the consumer. Then in there are certain cases where a person is a customer but he is not a consumer. For example, if I purchase a birthday gift for my daughter, then in this case I am a customer because I purchased a birthday present for my daughter and my daughter is the consumer. So it is sometimes it is possible that the customer or a consumer are a two different person, but in certain other times it is also possible that both customer and the consumer are the same person. Suppose if I purchase a dress for myself, then in that case I am a customer as well as I am a consumer. Here we have also studied the another important terms that the commodities are divided into two parts. As I have already told you, whenever we are consuming the goods and services to satisfy our wants, it is called in consumption. Now, what we are consuming to satisfy our wants, that is the goods and services. Now, the difference between the goods and services are such that goods are tangible in nature, or we can say these all the material things are related to the goods. Tangible means the things which we can touch and see, like car, shirt, etc., whereas services are non tangible in nature, which cannot be touched and seen. It is just an experience of a particular person. For example, educational service, medical services, uh, barber services, etc. Now, let us understand the another term, which is a sustainable consumption. Now, as you all know, sustainable means what? Sustainable means to use a particular commodity or a product in such a way so that we can fulfill the needs of the present generations, and we can save that particular commodity for the future use or for the future generation also. So sustainable consumption is the consumption of goods and services which met the needs of the people and improve the quality of life without having any adverse impact on the environment and the needs of the future generation. As you all are aware that the current consumption pattern in most of the countries are destroying the environment, like by depleting the stock of natural resources, distributing the resources in inequitable manner. Okay, so all these are the factors which will adversely affect the sustainable development. Now, it is important that the consumption pattern should be such that it assists in sustainable development and at the same time does not adversely affect the needs of the future generation, and it also keep our environment neat and clean or safe. And for sustainable consumption, we should minimize the use of goods and services so as to improve the efficiency of the resources and reduce the environmental damages, pollutions, and emission of the waste, so that the interest of the future generation is not geo paradise. So this is the concept of the sustainable consumption. Now let us understand the importance of consumption. Now, why the consumption is necessary? As we all know, the producers are producing a goods only when there is a certain consumers to consume that goods. If I produce such goods which is not consumed by anyone, then there is a no need of the production of such goods. So we can say that consumptions, the primary motive of the consumption is the economic activities. So all the economic activities like production, exchange, distributions, all the other economic activities, we will classify the economic activities broadly into the four parts: production, consumption, exchange, and distribution. So the consumption is the primary motive, and due to this consumption purpose, rest of the three activities will arise. Okay, so second, consumption is the end purpose of all the economic activity. So as we know that economic activity start with the act of production of goods and services, and its end with the use of these goods and services. Third, consumption is the index of the standard of living. It means whenever we are able to purchase more quantities of goods and services, it will always increase the standard of my living. Now, consumption is the basis of the economic welfare. Economic welfare refers to the total satisfaction obtained from the consumption of economic goods. The larger the consumption of goods and services, the larger the economic welfare. Now, it is also the main factor which determine the employment. If more and more demand of the goods and services in any economy, then more demand of goods and services then will give rise to the employment opportunities. So these are the certain important features of the consumption. So another concept is a utility. So utility refers to the want satisfying power of a commodity. So in our previous slide we have understood the consumptions. Consumption of goods and services is able to satisfy our wants, and we consume those goods and services because those goods and services possess some utility, and goods and services will be purchased for the consumption only when it possesses some utility. If the particular commodity will not satisfy my utility, or I'll not purchase any commodity if I'll not get any utility from it. So utility induce me to buy that particular commodity. And we should remember that utility is a property or a quality of a particular commodity which is common for all the person and which is want by a person. For example, bread has a power to satisfy the hunger, book fulfill our desire for knowledge, TV satisfy our desire for entertainment. All goods which people want to acquire possess some utility. So on the basis of it, we can understood some features of utility. The first feature is that the utility is subjective. As utility is subjective, so it cannot be observed and identified because it resides in the mind of the person. Or we can say that it is a feeling or an experience which differ from person to person. So the volume of utility which a person derive from a commodity depend upon the intensity of a desire for that commodity, taste and habit. Second feature is that a utilities cannot be measurable. Since it is a subjective term, so we cannot measure it in the objective term because it is our feeling, personal experience. So we can't. There is no proper measurement to measure our feelings and experience. So we can say that utility is not measurable. But there are some economists who says that utility can be measurable, like Marshall. He says that we can measure the utility in terms of money. He said that an individual is prepared to pay for a unit of a commodity can be taken as a measure to its utility. He says that we cannot pay more for a commodity than the utility derived from that particular commodity. So he said that when a person purchases some commodity, payment thereof is to be done in the terms of money. So he taken the money as a measurement rod for measuring the utility. Now another feature is that a utility is relative, and utility is not absolute but relative in view of its subjective nature. It is relative to the person's needs, therefore it varies from one person to another. For example, a chapati or a plate of rice give more utility to person when he is hungry as compared to the situation when his belly is full. Similarly, woolen cloth gives more utility in cold place than in hot place. Fourth feature is that a utility is different from usefulness. Now, it is not like that we will possess or purchase only those commodity which are useful to us. Sometimes the person will spend their money for purchasing those commodities which are not at all useful for them. In fact, all those commodities are having an harmful effects like liquor, cigarette. So we can say that utility should not be confused with the usefulness, because these two are the very different terms. A commodity may possess a utility even though it may not be useful. Like liquor may have harmful effects, but even then the liquor has a utility so long as it satisfies the want of the drinker. Next feature is that it has a no moral or legal connotation. Utility has no ethical or legal connotation. Utility has no ethical or moral implication. Uh, it has nothing to be done with the morality, and there are certain acts of the person which seems to be immoral, but the person will do that immoral act, like theft. It is an immoral act, but the person will do that act because they are deriving a certain utility by doing that particular act. So we can say that a commodity may be considered as immoral for some, but still it possesses utility. For example, eating eggs may be religious taboo for some person, but if a non-vegetarian person eats an egg, it satisfies his hunger. In the same way, utility is free from legal implications. Possession of a gun by a dacoit may be illegal, but it has a utility for him. Last feature is that a utility is abstract. Abstract here means it is, as I have already told you, it is a feeling and experience, so we cannot see or touch it. So utility is an abstract in a sense that it cannot be seen or touched. So further, the utility is divided into two parts: total utility and marginal utility. So the term total utility refers to the entire amount of the satisfaction obtained from consuming a given quantity of a commodity. Suppose if I eat one mango, if then by eating the one mango I'll get a utility of 10 utils, and when I eat second mango I'll get a utility of 17 utils. Then in this case the total utility after eating the two mangoes will be 27, because first mango will give me the 10 utils utility and second mango give me the 17 utils utility. Then when we will add on the 10 plus 7, then the 17 is my total utility. So it has been said that total utility refers to the total satisfaction from the amount of commodity consumed. Here I have consumed 2 units of mango, and the total utility I derived after consuming the 2 units is 27. Now what is the marginal utility? Marginal utility is the additional utility arise from the consumption of the one more unit of commodity. Let us take the previous example. So when I consumed the second mango, I'll get a utility of 17, and when I consumed first mango, I get a utility in terms of utility is a 10. Now when I subtract my current utility from the previous utility, if I subtract 17 minus 10, then this will become my marginal utility. So we can say that marginal utility is the utility which result from a unit increase in consumption. As you can see in a formula, it has been written that marginal utility is nth term is equals to TUN minus TUN minus 1. So here n means the number of mangoes consumed to be equal to n, and then the last mango consumed is the nth mango, it is n minus 1. I hope you understood these two terms, because you have understood these terms in your previous classes also. And in next slide we are going to understand the utility schedule for the mangoes, and with this schedule you are easily able to understand this utility. So now you can see the schedule of the mangoes. Here the units of the mangoes are given, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the total utility has been given 0, 10, 7. It means what? When we will consume 0 mango, our total utility is 0. When we will consume 1 mango, total utility derive 10 utils. When we consume 2 mangoes, total utility is 17, and when we consume third mango, the total utility is 21. Now as you can see that the total utility will increase till we consume the fifth mango, and after that if we will further consume it, then our total utility is decreasing. Then when we are consuming the sixth mango, our total utility will decrease from 22 to 19. So we can say that first instant when we are hungry, our total utility will increase, and when we are fully satisfied, then our total utility will become stable. As you can see in a schedule, in fourth, when I consume the fourth unit, I got a total utility of 22. It means it is the stage where I was fully satisfied, but still if I consume the fifth mango, the utility will become the same, that is a 22. Now after the full satisfaction, if I still consume the certain commodities of a mango, then my utility will go down. Now first we have to how to know how we can calculate the marginal utility. As you can see that in the 0 units the marginal utility is undefined, and when I consume the first unit, we will determine the marginal utility by subtracting the present utility from the previous one. So here our present total utility is 10, our previous total utility is 0, then our marginal utility is 0. And in second unit of mango, what I'll do, I'll subtract my present total utility, that is a 17, from the previous one, that is a 10, then my marginal utility is 7, and you will find out the marginal utility like this. Okay, now you can see that at the fifth unit of the mango, where our total utility is maximum, our marginal utility is 0. So we can say that when the total utility is maximum, the marginal utility is 0, and when the total utility is decreasing, a marginal utility is in a negative. So in a sixth unit, when our total utility is decreased from 22 to 19, then the marginal utility is a minus 3. So these two important points you have to remember. Where our total utility is maximum, our marginal utility is 0, and when the total utility is decreasing, the marginal utility is in a negative. Now here we have to understand another important concept, which is called a diminishing marginal utility. As you will see the table of marginal utility, in first mango it is 10, 7, 4, 1, 0 and minus 3. Then what we are going to observe from this table, we will observe that the marginal utility will go on decreasing. It means when we are increasing the consumption of the units of the mango, a marginal utility is decreasing. When we increase the consumption from 1 to 2, our marginal utility is 7, and further when we increase the consumption of mango from 2 to 3, our marginal utility is 4, and so on. Okay, so the diminishing marginal utility means what? The marginal utility derived from the consumption of the further units will go on decreasing, and this thing is called the diminishing marginal utility. So students, I think it is enough for today. We will discuss the production in the next class, and if still you are having any doubt in any query, you can call me or drop a message on my WhatsApp number. So that's it for today. Thank you and have a nice day.